let me start sharing my screen and then, yeah. So my screen is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Right, thank you. So good morning to all of you and welcome to this session. Although in the physical mode, I usually keep the sessions interactive in a sense that the colleagues can have the questions in between also. But now since we are in the online mode, so keeping microphone of every person on is quite a tough or a challenging job because it creates echo. So what we can do, we have time up to 11:30. Am I correct? Or 11:15?
So your time is up to 11 o'clock.
Okay, up to 11 o'clock. So what essentially we can do, we can have the question answers in the last 15 minutes, means
Yes.
after 10:40. And in the meantime, if you have some questions, you can type in the chat window. So I will try to address those questions which are typed in the chat window during the session. And then in the last 15 to 20 minutes, we can have the interaction where one person can switch on the mic and we can have the interactive questions there.
Sir,
Okay.
actually, some of them are unable to type in the chat box on MS Teams. So I've added you in the FDP group of Network Science, in
Okay.
which all the participants are added, and then in WhatsApp they do ask questions if in case they are unable to type on the chat window because they are guests, so they do not have rights and permissions.
Right, absolutely fine. So yeah, I'm in your FDP on Network Science group. So you can type the questions in the chat window, in the WhatsApp group, and I will try to answer during the session. Okay, so we will be focusing on network science, particularly the aspect of centrality measure. Although I will be touching upon certain introductory things also very quickly, because I know that already you have a number of introductory things in the previous 2 days since Monday onward. So the content of my talk will be in this flow because I am teacher, you all are teachers. So I think it's my duty wherever I go, to whom I interact, to introduce about my alma mater, my university. So I will be spending 3 to 4 minutes to introducing my university, and then I will be taking a use case of social media where we will be learning about that how network science is important in today's context. And then we will talk about something about the graph theory and evolving it towards network science, and then the centrality measures. And then towards the end of the session, there is another use case related to the infrastructure, where again network science is used for the analysis, and then we will conclude the session. So let me start with the introduction about my university. I belong to the Punjab University. This beautiful picture is one of the landmark in the university, which is known as Gandhi Bhavan. And this university is 4th oldest university in modern India, which was established in 1882 in Lahore, which is now in Pakistan. I am saying 4th oldest university in modern India. Why in the modern India? That why I will explain in next slide. My university offers everything. It has basic sciences, medicine, pharmaceutical sciences, arts, engineering, management, etc. And when our country was divided into 2 separate entities in 1947, at the same point, my university was also partitioned into 2 separate entities. Right now, if outside India you will Google Punjab University, then you will find 2 links. One link of the Punjab University, which is located in Lahore, presently working from the Lahore, another university which is presently located in Chandigarh. But within India, obviously, you will find only one link. And it has good ranking and NAAC score, etc. University has faculty members approximately 1,000 in numbers, and out of that 600 are in science and technology. And in campus we have approximately 18,000 students, and another 2,27,000 students are studying in the university in the affiliated colleges. It offers numerous courses in different domains spread over 2 sectors in Chandigarh, and 78 teaching and research departments, 15 centers and chairs, number of affiliated colleges, regional centers, constituent colleges spread over Punjab. So university is a mini township. It is also very interesting because all of us belong to different academic institutions. It is also interesting to analyze the network of the people, those who are working in different institutions. So, for example, if I say in my university there are approximately 2,27,000 students affiliated in the affiliated colleges, so analyzing their network becomes a challenge of the network science. So that can be a use case for the network science. Similarly, you can do it for your institutions. So this is how the university traveled. So when migration happened during the partition, lakhs of people traveled from Pakistan side to India side and from India side to Pakistan side. At the same time, university also traveled. At that point of time, there was no Chandigarh, so university was relocated from Lahore to Delhi, Shimla, Solan, Jalandhar, and ultimately in 1960 in Chandigarh. And if you look at on the left-hand side, the third picture, it is the original picture from Lahore. This building is still in use, which was, this building was constructed somewhere in 1895 or 98, somewhere in that, in those years. Oh, why I said that my university is 4th oldest university in modern India? Because in ancient India, there was number of other universities which we can establish from the ruins which are available in the currently as a country in India, as well as currently in the Indian subcontinent. So there were a number of other universities in the ancient India. That's why I say today's oldest universities are basically the universities oldest in the modern India. Okay, so this is my lab where we work, telecommunication research lab, which is in UIET Punjab University. These are my colleagues and some of my students. And these are our collaborators. Particularly for the network science, we worked out one solution for Government of Haryana. We worked out another solution for Coral Telecom. So these are some of the other collaborators. For Chandigarh Police also, we worked out some of the challenges involving the telecommunication and the network science. Okay, so let's start with understanding the use case first of all. We will try to understand that how social media growth led to the network science. So if you look at the social space, in the social space, we are trying to connect the communities. For example, when we meet someone, like recently I have been added into your WhatsApp group. So what it means? It means now I am one link away from you. So I am connected with you, right? So any action in the social space basically makes certain connections in the communities. So in the changing time, in the before industrial revolution or before 19th of century, people connected with each other through either traveling from one location to another location or by sending messengers from one location to another location, etc., etc. But nowadays, there are a number of other ways. So nowadays, for example, you can write down a letter via email. Email can be an official email where you pay regards to grammar, punctuation, etc. And it can be a friendly email without any regard to any grammatical or punctuation or capitalization issues. In fact, nowadays we are also writing lesser number of emails. We are more dependent on sharing our information or connecting with the communities through other social media means. The other means, like for example, WhatsApp, Viber, WeChat, etc. And another way of connecting with the communities is by using a telephone. The telephone can be office telephone, home telephone, mobile device. It can be some computing device running some kind of OTT, over the top application, etc. It can be a text message. We can have a video conference. Right now we are having this mode. We can be on social media, friend or friend of friend, etc. We can follow someone on the Twitter, and actually we can visit a person physically. So there are numerous ways of connecting the communities. So while analyzing this kind of social space, then it means we need to consider a subset of various ways to connect the communities. And the subset can give the different weightage to a different a separate mechanism of communicating. For example, if I am calling from a phone or a mobile device, then it means the identity can be established that who is calling to whom. But if I am calling from certain app where identity cannot be established or via internet call, then in that case, that link can be a spam link also. So basically the way we are connecting, the way we are exchanging the information is also impacting the social space. And the impact of connecting is huge. Right now, almost every year, twice the users are increasing who are using the social media. And mobile phone subscription is also increasing. And particularly the app market, smartphone app market is expected to grow by $407 billion by 2026. So it means that technology is reaching to the large number of people in the society and they are connecting. So that's why the network is growing in the social space. And at the same time, while these kind of networks are growing, at the same time, the things are happening where you have to analyze, you need to do an analysis or you need to track down certain things done by the people in order to establish the fact that who is doing some kind of either criminal activity or wrong activity. Now, when we say a person doing a wrong activity or a criminal activity, then it must be wrong or criminal activity in the legal terms of the country. So that's why now the governments across the world are focusing on bringing the legislations where they can define that something which is happening on the social media is a criminal activity. So they are legislating. For example, India is having right now national cybersecurity strategy, where it is legislated and where from where the IT Act have been also been modified to report the people that who are doing the wrong activities. And another aspect is that, for example, our country is so huge and there are a number of state governments or the central government who is sending the takedown request to the social media companies that this content you should remove from the social media. So what it mean? It mean it becomes an interesting case to study. Now, when we have to study such a kind of huge network, then in that case, the measurements of network science comes into the picture. So in the modern sense, the theory of social networks, basically in the modern sense, I'm not talking about the ancient sense, started from an experiment which is basically conducted by a researchers named Stanley Milgram. So Stanley Milgram has published a research paper, his research outcome in a journal named Psychology Today, and the title of the paper is The Small Word Problem. And Stanley Milgram has given a theory which is known as 6 degrees of separation between us and everyone else on this planet. Now, what it means? It essentially means, for example, I know the organizers of this FDP, those organizers know you. So between you and me, there are 2 links. Then you as a faculty member in your institution know your colleagues. So between me and your colleague in your institution, there are 3 links. So based on this experiment, Stanley Milgram concluded that there are on the average 6 links between any one person on this earth, on this planet, and any other person. And he conducted this experiment beautifully by sending 60 letters to the various interns which he was having in his lab, and asked them to send these letters, to forward the letter to the wife of one of his student who was residing at a particular location in Cambridge, and with a rider that you have to give this letter only to your personal acquaintance or only to a person to whom you know directly, and the next person will send it to the next acquaintance, so via friend mode. So by conducting this experiment, he basically proposed this theory of 6 degrees of separation, and this is very much in use in the network science. So once we, if we try to plot the things, if we try to visualize the things, then what we can say in case of social networks, we can represent or we can visualize people as the different nodes represented in this figure by circles in yellow color with black boundary, and the relationships or the links between these nodes are known as the edges. Now, in case of, for example, social space, these relationships can be acquaintance, friendship, co-authorship, a relative, a relationship, etc. And in case of infrastructure, which we will study towards the end of the lecture, these links may represent the roads connecting two different cities. The nodes may represent, in that case, the cities, the villages, etc. The links can represent railway tracks. It can represent metro track between two stations. It can represent, for example, nowadays we are having piped gas line at home. So it can represent, the nodes can representing the controlling points of the gas, and the links can be the pipes from one controlling point to another controlling point. it can be water supply pipelines, it can be any other kind of infrastructure pipelines. Now, once we can visualize these kind of networks in a graph shape, then what we can do, we can use mathematical tools of graph theory to analyze them. So this is from where the network science has evolved. So network science basically theoretically studies the network structure and its dynamic behavior. So we try mathematically to model the network, which you may say a graph or a very large network or a very large graph, and then we try to understand the physical reality of that network through various measurements. So centrality measure is one of the measurements to understand the physical reality of the networks which we modeled in the graph form. So there are number of key concepts in network science. You must have gone through some of the key concepts in the previous sessions also, like structure of the network, dynamism of the network, bottom-up evolution of the network, autonomy of the subnet or the network, topology, change in topology, stability, emergence, etc. So all these key concepts can be studied from the theoretical perspective and can be analyzed in the physical reality if we can plot the things in the network. Complex networks have non-trivial degree distribution. This, I think, in the last session you have gone through. And the networks can be diverse as biological infection. You must have gone through various papers or newspaper reports about the COVID-19, where a lot of things are reported, that how the first wave will spread, how the second wave will spread, how the third wave will spread. A particularly network science based model by IIT Kanpur, which accurately predicted first and second wave, can also be is an also interesting case study. And there can be other biological infection networks which we can study, as well as it can be as diverse that you can study that how some computer virus is spreading. It can be also diverse that how an information or rumor is transmitted from one network to another network or from one node to another node. Also, network science analysis can be used by the business people to penetrate their products into the user's mind. So it has lot of diverse applications. When we look at the macroscopic, I'm not going into detail of macroscopic network evolution. So there are empirically two observations. One is the densification power law, probably you must have gone through. Another is the shrinking diameter. And topological properties like degree distribution, presence of a triangle within the network, presence of the cycles, average path length, etc. are studied from the macroscopic point of view. Okay, so this is one of the interesting result which is available in orgnet.com. Here the colors represent or refer to the different department affiliations. For example, blue in color can be the people who are affiliated to computer science and engineering departments. Green in color can be the people who are mechanical engineers. Yellow in color can be the people who are in biosciences. Then gray in color are the people who are in electrical engineering. Red in color who are in the biotechnology. So this is just interesting result of that how the people exchanged the emails with each other. So then these communities have been formed. This is the result of one of the studies. So email is one of the way to socialize, to have the social interaction among the communities. This is another very interesting study. 9/11, which happened in US, where 5 different planes crashed into different buildings in US, 2 into the World Trade Center, 1 into Pentagon, third one in Pennsylvania, another one somewhere in between. So while analyzing that how the hijackers were connected with each other and who were their associates, then again network science helped to track down those people. So now the big question is that which kind of node or verses or a set of nodes are important in such a huge networks. Huge in a sense when the number of nodes are quite high, like we have pointed out in case of social interaction or social media. So basically, when we visualize or study the networks, then the centrality measures comes into picture. Now, some nodes which are important, we need to find out. For example, in this particular network, if you look at some of the nodes which are bigger in size, can be more important as compared to the nodes which are smaller in size. So finding out such kind of nodes plays a critical role in analysis of networks, and these nodes may also be playing a critical role in the network. So this is the first question, that we need to find out which nodes or set of nodes are important. Another question is that is it possible to rank these nodes? Let's say there is a set of nodes. Now out of that set of nodes, if we can rank them probably from most important to least important, then we can find out that who are the most influencers in a particular network. So this is why the centrality measure or importance of node is required. So basically centrality measure is measurement of that how a node is central to a particular network. So central to means, for example, how important it is to that particular network. For example, in a family, the head of the family is quite important to that network of the family. So in that sense, we need to find it out. We will start with some graph theoretic measurements. These measurements are quite precise and quite clear. These measurements are also non-ambiguous. There is no ambiguity among these definitions. These are well-established definitions. And here, this, for example, in the first one, the eccentricity represents a number. It is a number basically. It is an absolute number. Now, when we say eccentricity of a vertex V, where V can be any vertex, is the maximum distance between that vertex and any other vertex in that particular network or in that particular graph. So what it essentially mean, it mean you need to take distance between one node to all the other nodes, and once you have that distance, whatever is the maximum value out of that distance, that will become your eccentricity. So that's why eccentricity is an absolute number. It's not a fractional number. And then second term is we use graph diameter. Graph diameter is simply the maximum eccentricity, maximum of eccentricity of all the nodes. For example, a graph has, let's say, 10,000 nodes. Then for all the 10,000 nodes, we can have different eccentricity values. So the maximum value out of those 10,000 values will be the diameter of the graph. And radius of the graph is the minimum value out of those eccentricity values. So for example, if there are 10,000 nodes in a graph, then first of all we can find out 10,000 different eccentricities for the different nodes, and thereafter we can find out the diameter of the graph by getting the maximum of the eccentricity and radius of that particular network by getting the minimum of that eccentricity. That's just a sorting problem. Then a central point. In any graph, there can be one or more than one central points. And if the eccentricity of a point equal to the graph radius, then that point is known as the central point. So these measures give a geometrical overview of the graph. So for example, if we look at these two graphs, then in this case, if I look at my pointer is visible, anyone can please answer? My pointer where I am pointing to right now, yes or no? Okay. So if you look at a graph on the left hand side, then the node which is on the extreme left has eccentricity of 3. Now how? For example, if we look at the path length from this left to center to the upper one, it is 2. This distance is 2. Then if I look at the other distance from this left to red one to downward, it becomes 3. If I look at the distance from this one to red, then to this right hand side to the last one, it becomes again 3. So eccentricity of extreme left node is 3. Similarly, the eccentricity of the top one is again 3. If we calculate in the same fashion, we can do the same thing. If we look at the extreme right side of this graph, left graph, then the down node has eccentricity of 4. How? Because if you look at, if we start moving 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it becomes 4. And similarly, you can calculate the graph eccentricities for the different nodes on the right hand side node. Now, if you look at the diameter in case of the left hand side graph is the maximum of all the eccentricities of the nodes. So eccentricities of the nodes are 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4, 4. So the diameter becomes 4. 4 is the maximum value. Radius is the minimum value. And among all these eccentricities, minimum value is 2. So radius is 2. Similarly, for the graph on the right hand side, radius is 2 and diameter is 3. Now, if you look at the central point, So central point is the point where the eccentricity is equal to the graph radius. So in this case, there is only one node on the left hand graph, the red one, which has the same eccentricity as of the radius. So there is only one central point. In the graph on the right hand side, there are two such nodes which has eccentricity of 2. So what it mean? It mean there are two central nodes in this graph. So central points can be central nodes can be a subset of all the nodes. The subset can be one or more than one. So graph center is a set of vertices with graph eccentricity equal to the graph radius. So basically it is set of central points, you can say. And graph periphery is a set of vertices that have graph eccentricities equal to the graph diameter. So if you look at graphs on the left hand side, all these graphs have only one central node. Graphs on the right hand side, these are having two central nodes. Now, all these measurements are quite hard to use. Why? Because these are sensitive to change in the graph. Now, for example, in the social media space, every second new users are entering into that space. So it means network is not stable network. Network is changing continuously. So if you just add one number to the figures which are displayed on the graphs which are displayed on the screen, the values will change. For example, there is another problem. Let's say a graph on the right hand side with two central nodes. If I add a chain of nodes, means in a serial order, let's say I add one node, two node, 3, 4, 5, 6. In this case, diameter will increase dramatically. So the graph theoretic measures we need to use carefully. So for example, when we say the periphery of set of vertices, we very well know in case of transport network, for example, let's say I take the example of Delhi Metro, we very well know which are the central stations, which are the periphery stations, right? So we need to use carefully these kind of measurements. Then in sociology, basically the social scientists, you can say, they represent most important actor by looking at the location of that actor in the social network. So these are some of the terms which we need to know. Now, actor centrality and actor prestige, these are the two separate terms which are used in the social science. Actor centrality basically involvement is basically involvement with the other actors. For example, let's say again I'm taking the example of social network. When I'm, let's say, on the Facebook, then I am directly friend with certain of my colleagues. Then I can be friend of my colleagues. Then I can have the settings that some of my known acquaintance can only see my information. They are not able to comment on it, right? So what it means, I can have some inward links to me, I can have some outward links. So how actor is connected with the others, or what kind of ties it have, what are the source and recipients in the undirected graph. That measurement, that term is used by the social scientist. And then there is the actor prestige. Actor prestige basically represented by the directed network. Actor prestige is, for example, when you publish certain papers, you have a certain citation count. For example, in the Scopus, you can get your citation count. In the Google Scholar, you can get your Google Scholar profile, you can get your citation count. So what the citation count actually mean physically? It means that it shows the prestige of an author, of an researcher. So this kind of prestige is calculated in case of directed graphs. So prestige include recipient of many relations, which are relations directed to an actor. But here we will be presuming about the undirected graphs. We are presuming that we are working with the undirected graph. Towards next few slides, we will also see that how the directed graphs will impact. But in case of undirected graphs, we are presuming that we are having symmetric matrix. So in case of symmetric matrix, the transpose of matrix is same as that of the matrix. So for measurement of the centrality measure, these assumptions are obvious. Now, we are looking at three different graphs in this example. One is the star, another is the circle, third one is the line. These are very basic graphs, although today's networks don't look like these graphs, but for the simplicity, we are presuming these graphs. So in this case, if I look at the first one, the star one, here the node A is more central as compared to other nodes, as compared to B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. But here in the ring or in the circle, all the nodes are equally central. And in the line graph, probably this D is more central as compared to A, B, C, E, F, and G. Similarly, E and C are more central as compared to A, B, G, and F. F and B are more central as compared to G and A. F and B are equally central. E and C are equally central. Similarly, G and A are equally central. So in case of star, for example, E, D, F, G, B, C, these are equally central, but A is more central. But in case of circle, all the nodes are equally central. So basically, a lot of things depend upon these connections while measuring the centrality measure. Now we will move further with the degree centrality. This is another measure of centrality. Degree centrality, just 1 second. Degree centrality is basically the number of nearest neighbors of a node. So you can say direct connections. And in the case of undirected graphs, it is normalized centrality for the comparison purpose. For example, if you look at this value CDI, D is the node, the degree centrality is the number of nearest neighbors, sum of the number of nearest neighbors. And since it is undirected graph, so it is symmetrical. It does not matter from I to J links हैं या फिर J to I links हैं. If we look at the degree centrality, for example, for a very large network, the degree centrality may have 600 values. Like for example, if I look at my social media profile, my Facebook has approximately 1100 direct links. So someone else Facebook may have 500 direct links. किसी और के there can be 4000 direct links, right? So if we measure the degree centrality of all the nodes, then the values can be very diverse. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to normalize the degree centrality. And for normalizing degree centrality, what we do, if you look at the second equation, we divide it by n-1. Why n-1? Because there can be maximum of n-1 neighbors of any node. In case of, for example, fully connected graph, the neighbors of any node are n-1. So if we will normalize by dividing it with n-1, then it will come within comparable range. So when certain nodes have the high centrality degree, then it means they are in direct contact with many other actors, and when there are low degrees, then it means those are not quite active, those are the peripheral actors. Another measure is closeness centrality. It is given by a scientist named Alex, basically. So closeness centrality basically measures that how close an actor to all the other actors in the network. Here Dij is basically the shortest path between I and J, and this closeness centrality is only calculated for the connected components. If we try to calculate it for the isolated components, isolated nodes, then this measurement will become infinity. And once it will become infinity, then there can be a problem. And so if we again try to normalize the closeness centrality, we try to multiply it with the n-1 nodes, as we did division in the previous case. An actor in the center can quickly interact with all the others and have the short communication path to the others, and needs minimum number of steps to reach others. So in order to avoid the infinity problem, basically an improved version of closeness centrality is harmonic centrality. So it is also known as harmonic mean. If you look at these two values, here what we are doing summation of all the shortest paths, Di to J. Now if some path from, let's say, I node to some other node is infinity, then this value will become infinity and it will become 0. So whole purpose of calculating the closeness centrality will defeat. But in case of harmonic centrality, if you look at, we are dividing first of all 1 by distance, then we will do the sum. Now in this case, if you will calculate the distance from one node to the isolated nodes, if that is infinity, then this component will become 0. So this will become 0 for only one pair, not for, whereas in this case the infinity will have impact on all the other pairs also. So that's why if you have the isolated nodes in your network, you may use the harmonic centrality instead of closeness centrality. But if your network does not have the isolated nodes, then closeness centrality is also a good option. So this is how the closeness centrality basically gives you the result. So closeness centrality gives you certain nodes which are close to each other. Next one is betweenness centrality. So betweenness centrality takes into consideration the number of shortest paths which are going through an actor. That how many number of shortest paths are going through an actor. For example, in this case, in this figure, A is the most important node. Number of shortest paths are going, for example, from red set of nodes to the blue set of nodes, or you can say if red set is represented by S, blue is represented by T, then number of paths are going through A. So basically this QSTI is the number of shortest paths going through going from source to T is the destination through I, and this sigma ST is the total of shortest paths between S and I. So total once you divide the number of shortest path by the total number of paths, that value and sum over all the shortest path for that actor will give you the betweenness centrality. And you can again normalize the betweenness centrality by dividing it because there are n-1 ways to move from S to T, and there are n-2 ways from T to any other node. So you divide it by n-1 multiply by n-2. So this is the betweenness centrality. And betweenness centrality, this is an example, just visualized example, will give you a result in this way. Yes, there is a question that are we computing these measures on undirected graphs? Yes, we are doing it for undirected graph. We assumed in one of the slides while we started with centrality, I explained that we are assuming the undirected graphs. For directed graph, we will come a little bit later. Next one is the eigenvalue centrality. Eigenvalue centrality basically gives the importance of a node, which assumes that importance of the nodes depends on the importance of its neighbors. So it's a recursive definition. For example, वो कहते हैं that जैसी company वैसा ही person का characters. So similarly, the importance of a node depends upon the importance of the neighbors. That is what is calculated by the eigenvalue centrality. So if a node's neighbors are more important, then it means node is important. For example, here, if you look at the centrality measure or eigenvector of a node, then you need to calculate the importance of all the neighbors and then multiply, and then you do the sum, and then you have to normalize the same thing. Now here the question arises that how to implement this kind of centrality measure, means how to start with, how to calculate, because everyone is neighbor of someone else. So how to calculate the importance? So what we can do, we can start with certain, let's say, one importance by giving a value of 1 to each and every node, and then we can start multiplying and calculating in the first iteration, in the second iteration, ultimately these calculations will converge and we will have a stable value. But if your network is changing, then it will not stabilize. So for getting it stabilized, what you need to do, you need to have a lesser changing network. So this is an example of eigenvector centrality. So the eigenvector centrality gives the importance of the neighbors. There are other kind of measures also, like Cate's status index. Basically, it is for direct and indirect neighbors. For example, it's calculated based for friend of friends, friend of friends of friends, etc. So it considers the weightage of all the links you have. So it is weighted count of all the paths coming to the node. The weight of the path of n is counted with the attenuation factor. Why attenuation factor? It considers, for example, there is one node, or the friend of that node is directly connected. That link has more weightage. Friend of friend has lesser weightage. Friend of friend has more lesser weightage. So basically, there is the attenuation factor which reduces the weightage, and then we calculate in the same fashion. So if you look at this centrality measure, Cate's status index centrality measure, so this beta, it is the attenuation factor, and this Aij gives you the first order of your direct contact centrality measure. A2ij, it gives the second order contact. A3ij, it gives the third order contact, and so on and so forth. And in this case, this degree is the number. And then you take out a unit vector out of that, and then you can prove these theorems. I am not going into the proof of these theorems. Another measure is Bona's centrality. So it is two parameter centrality measure, where beta is the degree to which an individual status is a function of the status of those whom that person is connected. Means that connection can be the positive connection if it is powerful, and it can be negative connection if it is powerless. And alpha is normalizing parameter. So if we remove alpha from here, then it becomes Cate's centrality measure only. But the trick is that we are having beta either positive or negative. So these are some of the modified versions of Cate's centrality as well as Bona's centrality. I am not going into detail, but you should be knowing that there are various different versions also available. So these are some of the centrality examples on the same network. Now, if you look at degree centrality, this A network, top left network, the red ones are the high degree centrality. And then if you look at the B graph, the closeness centrality, these red ones are representing the closeness centrality. Betweenness centrality, this C network, these red ones, very few are having the betweenness centrality. Eigenvector centrality, these are the nodes which are having the eigenvector centrality. High eigenvector centrality, I can say. Cate's centrality, these spread out. Then alpha centrality, these very few in the F graph. So you can even plot high centrality nodes versus low centrality nodes. So that can also give an insight into your network. Also, you can try histogram. Another concept is centralization. Centralization is basically a network measure that how central the most central nodes in the network in relation to all the other nodes. Means there are by using, for example, these centrality measures, degree, closeness, betweenness, any one of these, we found certain set of nodes who are the central nodes. Now, overall in the network, how these nodes are central in relation to all the other nodes. That is your centralization. So it basically which is for the largest centrality value. This CP star is the largest centrality value, and we subtract all the other centrality values with all the other nodes and find out their value and do the summation. And then we normalize it to the maximum possible values. And this kind of analysis is usually useful for the small networks. When networks are small, then we can find out that how a set of nodes which are having the high centrality value are central to the network. Then there is another concept, prestige. Here again, this is where when we calculate the prestige, the concept of directed nodes will come, directed edges will come into picture. So prestige can also be calculated, degree prestige, that how many edges are pointing to a particular node, proximity prestige, closeness, which is based on the closeness, then status or rank of the prestige, which can be cates or bonuses, prestige, etc. Then we can also do the comparison of these matrices. The comparison can be done by, for example, different techniques like Pearson correlation, Spearman's rank correlation. So these are the methods to compare these values which we have calculated in the or the parameter values which we have discussed in the previous slides. Then there is also role of ranking comparison. I'm just listing here Cadel Tau rank distance matrix. So it counts the number of pairwise disagreements between two ranking lists. For example, if we have the two different ranking lists, then we have to see that how those ranking lists compare with each other. For example, let's say I am searching network science on Google. So on the first page, it will give me some 20 links. So those 20 links I can list by A to or 1 to 20. And then I search the same term on the Yahoo. It will give me another list of 20 links. I will give them a number 1 to 20. Now I have two ranking lists, for example, rank 1, A to E, rank 2, again A to E, but in a different order. Now I need to compare whether these two ranking lists are, how much they are close to each other. Now, if they are quite close to each other, in the perfect agreement, then my value will come 1. If they are in the reverse order, my value will come -1. And between -1 to 1, it will show the closeness between these two. So how Cadel Tau method works, Cadel rank correlation coefficient is used for that purpose. Basically, it calculates number of concurrent pairs and number of discordant pairs. For example, if I look at here, B comes after A. This is 1. So in the rank 2, B comes after A. So one concurrent pair. C comes after A in the rank 1, C comes before A in the rank 2. This is first discordant pair. D comes after A in the rank 1, rank 2, D comes before A. This is the second cordant pair. So in this way you can calculate number of cordant pairs. For this example, particular example, 6 cordant pairs are there, 4 discordant pairs are there. And total number of links or nodes are 5. So if you put these values in this formula, you will get a tau of 0.2, which indicates that there is somewhat similarity between these two ranking lists. So this is how you can calculate, do the ranking comparison. In our lab, we have also worked on network measurement. We proposed one parameter which is known as normalized vulnerability measure, which compares two graphs or two networks of different order. So one network can be of 1,000 nodes, another network can be of 10 lakh nodes. We have used, we tried to normalize by using the eigenvector formula, and it has been published. If you want to see the full detail of this method, this metric, sorry, you can refer to Electronic Notes in Discrete Mathematics, which is published in 2017. Then you can also do node and edge ranking. So for node and edge ranking, you need to combine the local topological features as well as global topological locations, which basically contribute in the ranking method. And we have also proposed one hybrid node ranking technique for finding out the influential nodes in social networks. You can again go through this reference for further detail, or we can discuss it whenever we have some 2-3 hours slot. Towards the end now, we will be discussing about the infrastructure use case. Yes, okay. So the question is that what is the significance of this kind of comparison? In which situation we need to do this in social network analysis? Yes, very. So this kind of comparison comes into picture when you, for example, use different centrality measures, and then you find out one set of nodes with one centrality measure, another set of nodes with another centrality measure. Now both the centrality measures refer to the different aspects. Now you want to see that how those two centrality measures are close to each other, so that you can decide which measure to use. So in that case, you can use, for example, in the social networks. Okay. And now let's move to, we are having 10 more minutes, move to the infrastructure use case. I am covering it quickly. So we used the same set of concepts to analyze Delhi Metro network, where nodes are represented as stations or cities, and edges are the link between two stations or two cities. So we considered NCR Metro, where approximately 2.5 crore people reside, and when we did this analysis, around 1 billion people traveled by metro in that particular year, financial year 2016-17. And we conducted a vulnerability analysis by using these concepts for the current state at that point of time in 2017, and the new state of the metro infrastructure. New state means they were adding certain new lines to the metro, and it is published in Journal Physicae. You can go through this paper for the details. This was the Delhi Metro map which we considered for this analysis. And these are some of the statistical parameters. For example, operational Delhi Metro at that point of time was having 180 points, nodes, stations, you can say. The extension was supposed to be having 261 and 180 edges were there, 274 edges were expected in the extension, etc. Diameter was 5 and will remain 5, etc. And after analysis, we have given certain, we did the vulnerability analysis also. I'm just skipping these slides. And we have given certain recommendations based on this analysis. And these recommendations were that adding new stations will increase the overall shortest distance, because the government has plans to add the stations in the remote areas. And it will be more robust due to changing in its structure because of the addition of the new stations and metro lines. And further, we are considering the number of passengers traveling, where we can give the weightage to different links and average uses of the year. It can be over the year, over the month, or over the season, and average minimum and maximum number of stations traveled on a track in one go. So these are the parameters which we are right now under consideration, and which can give different weightage to the different links. So this is another study we are doing again by using the same concept. We did active fire locations study for the agriculture fires. So let's conclude, then I will start answering a few more questions. So network science involves understanding the network dynamics, and it is used to solve the different challenges from the diverse areas like social media, infrastructure networks, biological networks, etc. And a number of studies can be considered, and the results which you which you analyze, the results can be very useful for making the policy for the infrastructure or for the other things, and it's an evolving area. So thank you very much. Yes, now there are few questions. One question is from where we can get these data sets. Yes, these data sets, some of the data sets, for example, for the metro, we got it from the maps. We constructed it from the maps, and then the data like passengers traveling. In that case, you need to tie up with the Delhi Metro people, and then data sets for the agriculture fire, we got it from the Department of Agriculture, Government of Haryana. And for social networks, you have to, earlier it was allowed to download certain parameters, but there are certain data sets like SNAP dataset is available, Stanford Network Repository, from where you can get it, or otherwise you have to move through some kind of MOU route. Other question, please. So I'm stopping the screen share right now. Your voice is not audible.
Is it audible, sir? I think we are not getting. I request Naman to mute everyone as of now.
I should. Ma'am, everyone's muted. I think the problem is at your part.
Is it okay now?
No, ma'am.
Well, that was it. Thank you very much, Dr. Harish Kumar, for sharing your pulse of knowledge and experience. And I'm sure it's been an enlightening experience for all the participants learning from you about centrality measures and its applications. And I'm also very sure every last one present here is just as inspired to learn and understand more, courtesy to you. Once again, thank you very much, sir. On a short note, today we learned real life use cases of social networks and visualized the society as a graph. We got to know from where network science evolved. We studied some graph theoretic measures on network science like the eccentricity, graph diameter, graph rules, central point of a graph, and etc. Then we learned about centralization, comparison, and MVM, normalized vulnerability measures, its problem and solution, among other things. Now, it's been our pleasure to host all the members and audience of the meeting, and I'm thankful to all the participants for joining us today and attending the program. I also take this opportunity to thank the entire committee, our honorable speaker, as well as the audience for coming along with us today and giving us their valuable time. But before we call it a day, call it a session, I would like to inform everyone that feedback forms are available and we would be delighted to get your feedback with respect to the ongoing proceedings. And that would also help management keep track of your attendance as well. Please consider it doing. And now, with this, we have come to the end of first session for today. I request all the participants to take a due break so that you all can come fresh and energized as ever for the second session, which is scheduled to begin at 11:30 a.m. Once again, thank you, everyone. This session ends here.
Thank you. Thank you. So if you have
Thank
some
you, sir.
questions, you can email me. Thank you.